Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Well, it had to happen, didn't it? Anthony Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn, he's weighed in on some controversial comments Deontay Wilder has made, accusing Anthony Joshua of not wanting to fight him, saying that Joshua was terrified of him. So before I get to the Hearn quotes, the backstory is, while Wilder did a long sit-down interview with Behind the Gloves in which he repeatedly said Hearn and Joshua were doing everything in their power not to make a fight with him. He also said Eddie Hearn is a manipulator, a contradictor, and a compulsive liar. And I did cover those comments in depth in my previous video, which I'll link to at the end of this one. So this video is effectively Eddie Hearn's right of reply on the matter. And also at the end of this video, stay tuned for details of how to get in the t-shirt draw for this channel, Boxing Squared's 1 year anniversary. So that's coming up very soon at the end of the month, so only just a few days away. But more on that later. And also more on a couple of other peripheral issues to this whole situation with the negotiations. Or not negotiations, but the what next bit. What is the hold up? How long? But back to the matter at hand. Buckle in. Let's go. The Matchroom boss, Eddie Hearn, he's told Sky Sports, let's just stick to the facts. We made them an offer firstly. They didn't even reply. They made us an offer. We sent a contract. They refused to send one. We made them another offer. After nearly 4 weeks, they accepted and asked for a contract, and we sent them one. If they want the fight, they will sign it. I can't quite make out whether people are lying to Deontay about the negotiations or he is just completely deluded. I saw an interview with him yesterday saying he is actually two people, Deontay Wilder and the Bronze Bomber. So I'm siding with deluded. It's not complicated. We have set out the terms of the deal. We put it in a contract and sent it to him. He has now had the contract a week. We are getting calls from the WBA on a daily basis asking, what's happening? There is absolutely zero urgency from Deontay and his team, other than posting silly Instagram videos. The proof is in the resumes, and at this stage, I believe Deontay and his team do not want the fight. So as we had Deontay Wilder lay out his piece, Eddie Hearn has responded in kind here through the media to put his side's position across. And like I've been saying for some time now, both sides, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua's teams, both of them, they are desperately trying to get fans on side and put pressure on the other on social media and through the media. They are trying to win the narrative here. They are trying to be the one that comes out on top in case this all implodes and doesn't go anywhere. Because fans will be asking questions if the fight doesn't get signed. And you had Deontay Wilder saying in his interview, Anthony Joshua didn't want the fight, yet there is a contract in his possession. So just as Wilder raised some valid points in his interview, Eddie Hearn, he raised some valid points in his statements to Sky Sports. And like I was just alluding to, when you do boil it down, you cut away all the crap and put that to one side. Both sides have actually negotiated the terms for a deal. There is no working out the splits because everything is done. Deontay Wilder has said publicly he's agreed to the terms. So then a contract has been drawn up, and the said contract is now in the hands of Deontay Wilder and his team for review. And despite his protestations and assertions that Anthony Joshua doesn't want the fight, the power is literally in Deontay Wilder's hands now to make this fight happen. His team have the contract. The deal's been drawn up. He's agreed to the terms, contracts with them. And given he's acknowledged that he is sacrificing now to make money later on, the only hold up now that I could actually see derailing this thing is the wording in the contract. And I know some people have been cynical and sort of saying, well, who knows what sort of funny business may be in this contract. But we already know that they've been poring over this. They've raised a couple of specific points that had to be dealt with, and apparently those have been resolved. And who knows, there may well have been other issues, from the review. And what I imagine is a pretty lengthy document. These things take time. And generally in these sorts of situations, a professional services firm will be engaged to be part of the review to ensure everything is above board. So in terms of the time that has lapsed since the contract arrived, so what, we're a week now, that may not actually be an unreasonable length of time to have the document. Perhaps the actual optimum time is 2 weeks. But, they're going to have to review this, make any required amendments, and get it done before things actually drag on and on and on and on. Because if the contract review takes 4 weeks or 6 weeks, 3 weeks, questions will be asked by fans and they're going to have to be answered. I would also be interested to know what broadcasting arrangements have been reached. I've seen all sorts of speculation from fans all over the place about who's doing what and when and that sort of thing. But what we do know is Showtime, it wants the fight, and Wilder is a Showtime fighter. As it was, Stephen Espinosa, the Showtime boss, he's asked Eddie Hearn for a bit of a please explain in relation to some comments that he had made online on Twitter. Here is the actual tweet that Eddie Hearn had put, and Espinosa saying, what do you mean by that? But in some respects you would have to think, if Wilder had agreed to the terms, the broadcasting element must be squared away to some degree. Perhaps it is a case of the rights can go to the highest bidder. There's clearly some speculation Eddie Hearn wants to bring DAZN Perform Group's streaming service into the frame here. But any detail around that's currently very opaque. But you'd imagine if this is some sort of bidding situation, that a fight of this magnitude, they'd want to be throwing some serious money at it with a view to it being one of their biggest and one of their first shows that's streamed into the US. I mean, that will get some people some eyeballs on their service. I mean, ultimately, the situation in terms of broadcasting, it's going to come down to some respects to who cuts the biggest check. Because after all, that's what boxing is. It's a money maker. People don't get into this just for the fun of it. And if they have 2 or 3 willing bidders, that's only going to drive the rights for this fight upward. And I guess Eddie Hearn, that's exactly the position he wants to be in. He's going to want some willing bidders to drive the price up. But some of the situation, which, it's been lurching from one thing to the next, a very public tit-for-tat way, I really hope that it's going to get resolved soon. We're now being told the WBA, it's on the horn every day asking, well, Eddie Hearn, what is going on? Tell us what's going on. We have our WBA mandatory sitting here waiting. Its patience is surely being tested. And at some point, it might even run out. But could it run out to the point where they go, well, another month has dragged on, another 2 months has dragged on, we're going to strip Anthony Joshua because he hasn't fought his mandatory. And what if Anthony Joshua decides, in another week, 2 weeks, a month, to go, well, actually, I'm going to stick a pin in these current negotiations to face my WBA mandatory Alexander Povetkin? If that happened, who would fans be blaming? Because I know the respective fans would blame the other side. I mean, it's just obvious that's going to happen. And we know both sides are trying to sway public opinion with every salvo. But for me, it's also getting to the point where, and for some of you, I've seen in the comment section as well, it's getting plain boring to a point that some of these new things, it's entertaining for a second, but, the optimism, the confidence, it diminishes further and further with every day and everything that comes up. The hoopla, it's starting to backfire a bit. But if they get this fight made, I think some of that will be forgotten. We won't forget that there was a bit of a horrible period with the negotiations. But in some ways, you could argue that that will just ramp up some of the rhetoric in the actual build-up if this fight can be made. Okay, so I'll wrap up this part of the video, but stay tuned for details on the t-shirt draw. What do you make of it all in terms of Eddie Hearn's comments? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out. The clock is ticking. The Boxing Squared YouTube channel, it's about to turn 1 soon. At the end of the month, it will be 1 year old, and of course, very happy about that, and also the fact the channel is approaching 1 million total views. So what I want to do to sort of celebrate that, the anniversary and such, is do a giveaway. So there will be 2 t-shirts up for grabs. So if you win, you get to pick a t-shirt of your favorite boxer, and you tell me what t-shirt you want, you know, color, from etc. from whatever boxer, and I'll organize that, buy it online, and send it to you. Obviously, you have to tell me your address, but we can work out those details. But 2 chances to win. First one, I want you to tell me your funniest boxing story, and then I'll pick my favorite from the bunch. So start your story with the hashtag 1 year. So hashtag 1 year, so I know that you're in for the competition. And I wanted to give you guys who hang until the end the first opportunity, first dibs at winning a t-shirt, because not everyone sticks it out to the end. Some people only listen for a few minutes. But if you've gone this far, you've got the opportunity. Tell me your funniest story. From boxing, of course. You know, life, that's another matter. But, you know, hilarity in boxing, it does happen. And some of these stories, I'm sure, will be crackers. Second chance to win. It's just a sheer lucky dip. So for that one, hashtag me please. So on screen now, hashtag me please. You go in the draw, and I'll do the draw at the end of the month when the channel celebrates its birthday. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate it.